All right, Fizz TV finishing up here in Newport, Big East Media Day. Kevin Fitzgerald and Brandon Glasheen here with you. And, well, Brandon, probably one of the biggest aspects that we've been focusing on while looking at this Syracuse team has been the injuries. They've piled up definitely a lot of these last couple months. Specifically, since the spring game, there were 14 guys who did not play in that ball game, and a lot of them starting to trickle back into the rotation here. So talk to me about Justin Pugh, one of the guys that was here today, and his injury. Give us an update on that.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Justin Pugh. He's going to have to miss the beginning of training camp for Syracuse in August. Unfortunate because he really wanted to get out there, obviously, to get the season started, and he really wants to make that comeback after last year's ending. But he's actually sounded very optimistic about the situation because he still has a lot of confidence in the other guys that can fill in for him. He just hopes that he can step in and still keep the ball rolling with this offensive line. He doesn't want to step in and change any of the chemistry, but he feels that when he enters and comes back, they're a very good line. He believes in the guys that can replace him. They're in good hands.
I mean, Coach Marone called Justin Pugh earlier today at Big East Media Day one of, if not the best left tackles in the Northeast, and he limited it to just the Northeast because he doesn't play his college ball. They don't play college ball really much else. They play in the Big East, obviously. So, I mean, you look at some of the replacements for Justin Pugh, guys like Zach Charbonnet, who was here. You have a lot of young guys now coming in. Coach talked about the flexibility of the rest of the guys who could come in and replace a couple guys on the right side of the line. Andrew Tiller, a big loss. We saw him drafted earlier this spring, and well, now replacing Pugh for at least the meantime over the next couple months or so. Guys like Lou Alexander, Andy Phillips. These are some guys that can come in and log some time. So at least you have options. But as we look around at the rest of the teams that were here, biggest impact you took away from talking with other coaches and players?
I think the biggest information I got from today was talking to Pittsburgh head coach Paul Chryst. He was, it's his first year coming into next year, and he's very optimistic to get started. But what I asked him was, how is he going to be able to keep a happy medium between his transition personally as well as the team's transition at the end of the season? I mean, he kept telling me how a football season is a football season, whether you're in the ACC or in the Big East. So he's trying to maintain that mindset of going week to week. And I think it's interesting because I think this Pittsburgh team, they're trying to stay, on the same page as Syracuse, whereas they want to look week to week and not worry about other games in the future, focus primarily on preseason.
Yeah, well, it was Ray Graham who was cracking jokes all day. He definitely added a little excitement to that table over there for the Pittsburgh table. But as Fizz TV rolling on here, I have to take away, probably the biggest element I took away was talking with Coach Flood, talking with those Rutgers guys like Mark Harrison, big wide receiver, probably due for another breakout, another sensational season, just like Mohamed Sanu tossed up last year. And the one thing was the transition these guys had to deal with. Greg Schiano leaving really just a handful of days before National Signing Day in February. So Kyle Flood told me about how it was a little bit hectic at that time. That was one of the biggest things he had to adjust to. Mark Harrison said the same thing, but they believe they're poised for another big season as they were picked third in the preseason poll. That's going to do it for us here at Fizz TV. For Kevin Fitzgerald, Andrew Cannell, Damon Amendolara, and Brandon Glasheen, thanks for joining us here in Newport.